Looking good, as always. Thank you. How's everybody doing today? Thank you so much for coming out here. You know, I was, Steve, when we were first talking about doing the, doing this little session, this workshop and things like that, we were having a 12-12-12 conversation, right? December 12th, the 12-12-12, and we were like, where's Steve? I can't even see him right now. We were like, that would be so cool. And then we realized we couldn't get the room. So we said 12-11-12, and we think that that's going to be good enough. So hopefully you guys are enjoying yourselves. And we're going to talk a little bit here today about word-of-mouth marketing. Obviously, Steve got into it a little bit in terms of networking and what you need to be able to do to be successful. I'll tell you, I think networking has gotten a bad rap over the years. You know, I think a lot of times people, they go out and they look at networking almost as this, off-brand, I'm just going to try to, I don't have money for this, so let me network, right? And I'm just going to kind of meet people and hand out a bunch of cards, and I guess, kind of hope for the best is kind of the thinking that usually happens with that. And what I try to tell people is networking, and Steve got into this during his presentation, networking is a process. Networking is a process. Networking is something, I always tell people that your business today is a function of what you did 2 months ago, by the way. We have a lot of entrepreneurs in here, I know. Your business today is a function of what you did 2 months ago, which for a lot of people coming out of corporate America, I worked in corporate America. I'm sure if we were not, but if we did a call of hands, 90% of the people worked in corporate America at some point in time, probably more. And what you would find is that it's confusing for people because in corporate America, it is almost a one-for-one relationship. I do this direct mail piece, and 2 weeks later, my phone rings. I run this ad, okay, where's Lume for the radio? There we go. I run this ad, okay, and for radio, and 2 weeks or 10 days or whatever it is, this comes through, and that's great. That's great, okay? But networking, it's a little bit more complicated than that. Networking is something, as Steve was talking about, it is building the relationships with people. It is building a process. And I think a lot of times where people make their mistake is that, we live in this thank you, drive-through, kind of world. Do you want fries with that? Right? And we get this impression that I went out and networked, I got a bunch of cards, and I didn't get any business, so networking doesn't work for me. Brian, I don't know what you've written these books on. I don't know what you've been talking about for the last 12, but networking doesn't work, for me, all right? And I think a lot of times it's because they don't have the right thought process behind it, and I think it's because of the process or lack thereof that makes it so that it hasn't worked as well. So we're going to get into a few challenges or mistakes that people have made while networking. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can avoid them. I call them the top 3 mistakes most people make now while networking. And if that sounds good to everybody, we'll get started. Does that sound good? Yes. Oh, come on. Does that sound good? Yes. There you go. You can see Trish and I work a lot together, right? Same technique right there. All right. Here we go. Let us get into some of these mistakes. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about myself. If you haven't figured it out, I'm not from the South. Okay? So we'll just get that out of the way right off the bat. I'm originally from Greenwich, Connecticut, lived there for a while, and then I went to school actually here in North Carolina. And as I like to say, I realized that there was an entire part of the country that didn't have to shovel snow. I'm like, brilliant, Why is anybody living north of Virginia? I don't know. I don't know, but I've been told not to say that, but okay, I still don't know. And I lived down here for a little bit. I have actually been down here since 1998. I come now from Atlanta and have been over there for quite some time. Started my own business right after 9/11. Okay, started my business right after 9/11 and have been doing this ever since, And I really enjoy what it is I do. I tell people that starting my own business, if there's some people here who haven't done it before, or maybe I don't know exactly the makeup of the crowd, but if they're kind of on the fence or thinking about it, or going into a new part of the business, I think that was probably the single best thing that I did in terms of being able to just have the autonomy and be able to have the means by which to be able to grow what it is I'm doing. There's no question I'm a different person as a result of that. I'm just not the same man that I used to be. So hopefully what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to, now starting your own business doesn't come without its challenges. I mean, right? There's different, people say to me, my friends, you know, from high school, the first question is, are you still doing that business? That's the first question. Now, the Brian 3.0 version reacted a little bit prickly to that before, okay, like a cat. I'd at them when they did that. Like my hackles get all up. But now the kinder, gentler Brian just says, yes, I am. Okay? So it comes with its own challenges, but I think, and this is what I try to, I play a lot of golf. What I try to articulate is, and for those of you who don't, you might not get this exactly, but when you are, the golf course, in this case business, is challenging, right? I mean, you're getting your money's worth. Is there anybody in here in this economy who's not getting their money's worth? Okay, you're getting your money's worth, I'm hoping, right? Okay, you get it? So you're getting your money's worth over the last 2 or 3 years. And what I say, though, is that it's just like a hard golf course. It's just like the course is hard. You know, things are maybe not going your way. Maybe you don't get the right bounce. Maybe you get to this. Maybe you get to that. But it sure is nice that you actually know how to play. Okay? And when you can have somebody work on your swing, when you can have somebody maybe get you some new equipment, when you can have somebody show you maybe how to look at it a little bit differently, it'll be a lot more fun. I always tell, I think I've told Rita this, this game is a lot more fun when you win. I mean, it is a lot more fun when you win. Take my word on that. It is much more fun when you win. So let's talk about winning here. Top 3 mistakes, networking mistakes that most people make. We're going to do kind of a countdown. Mistake number 3, okay? Mistake number 3 is talking too much about themselves. Yeah. Talking too much about themselves. You've probably run into this before, right? People, this is the rhetorical question, right? People, you run into them, they're, you know, going out and meeting all these people. Now let me ask you guys this question. When you talk to somebody and all they're doing is jibber-jabbering away, your little chatterboxes, you ever right? Little, what was that? Chatty Cathy? Is that? Chatty Cathy. Yeah, just Chatty Cathy's. And are we more or less likely to want to work with that person when they're just talking all about themselves? Less likely. Why? This is a question now out to the group. Why were we less likely? Self-centered, which is a derivation of that, all about you or them. Rob?
Well, I was going to say it's all about you, it's not about them.
That's exactly right, yeah.
Well, if they haven't actually listened to me, they don't know what's relevant to me, so.
Now we're getting somewhere, aren't we? We're getting into, did you hear what he said? Say that again, if you don't mind.
If they haven't listened to what I said, then they don't know what's relevant to me.
Part of networking, everybody hear that? Part of networking, okay, let me step back here. There is a traditional conversation about traditional marketing, okay? It is more of a billboard based, okay? I'm going to blast it out to everyone that I can see. I'm going to just blast my message out. Now, the problem is that in what I'm going to call a little bit more of a retooled marketing, and networking fits into that approach, we want to have a more individualized feel when we're talking to somebody. Am I making sense? Okay? And part of the thing that's ironic in this country, there's a lot of things, but one of them is that when we live in such a compartmentalized, self-sufficient, independent, do it all ourselves, don't need any help, but in spite of all of that, we still like to connect with people. Now I can explain to you why we don't have time for that today, okay? But that's generally accepted. We still want to connect with people. And what happens is that when you're marketing, if you try that blast approach through networking, let me tell you what happens. All the 4 things that you just heard, were any of them good? No. No, they were actually all bad, weren't they? Okay? And I'll tell you 2 reasons. One, why that happens, and the other is when it changed. The reason why it happens is because today's business owners all came from corporate America, 70s, 80s, 90s. Okay? In corporate America, that's what they do. There's a conversation about blasting out their message, okay, to different things. So what we do is we say, oh, all right, well, we're going to start our own business, so we must do this in our own business because no one told us anything else differently. Is everybody with me on this? So we go to this networking event, and we're handing out all of these cards, and we think we're actually doing something. Am I right or am I right? Okay? So what happens is we want to be able to have it where people are a little bit more individualized. And I'll tell you when it changed. You know when it changed? Anybody want to take a guess? It's a hard question. Level, you know, on a scale of 1 to 5, this question is a 5 on hardness. Anybody want to know when exactly? See, now no one's going to answer it now, right? Because I've already set that up. Anybody want to take a guess as to when it actually changed, in my opinion? In my opinion. When did it actually change? It was over the last 15, probably last 20 years. So it's 2012. Yeah, go ahead. 9/11. Good guess. Not the right answer. It's a hard one. Good guess, though. It's a good guess. Okay, yeah, Janice.
When we were able to talk to people online.
Getting closer. That is 1998-ish, 1999. So we're getting closer to the year. We're going back. One more guess? Yeah, Steve. Facebook is now going, that's 2003. Colder, colder, colder.
1990s when the worldwide hit the world. The dot-com.
Yeah, that's closer, but it was even before that. One more guess. No, you guys are forgetting. Okay, I'll give it to you. When I go home, or when you go home, how many? Let me ask you this. All right, if you go home and you want to watch sports, let's say you want to watch football, what channel can you watch?
ESPN.
ESPN, but you can also watch the NFL Network, I thought. What about ESPN2? What about the Trace? When we got cable, we had different channels, didn't we? When I was growing up.
3, right?
Cable?
Especially with headline news.
Yeah, it's earlier. Yeah, I would say probably cable. I mean, I was specifically going to say satellite, if you want to know the truth. But I mean, cable was when I was a kid. I mean, you're talking, you know, when I was growing up, you had, you know, CBS, NBC, this news station called Fox, ABC, and PBS. Those were my channels. All right? Now, I want to watch football. You know, I'm having a conversation with my wife. I'm thinking, if we're going to follow football, if we're going to seriously follow football and get my fantasy league football, and the other thing too, I got a fantasy basketball. Anybody join a fantasy basketball league? Let me tell you something, it's hard work. They said, oh, don't worry, Brian, it's not a big deal. It is. Okay? I'm one game out of the playoffs, so we'll see how that goes. I told my wife, I said, if I'm going to do this fantasy basketball thing, if I'm going to have a serious conversation about contending in my fantasy league, I'm going to have to get the NBA channel next year. Like there's no way around that because there's all of this stuff that's going on. My point is that with cable and specifically satellite, we can watch. You've got Lifetime movies, Lifetime for women. Don't forget Oxygen. Okay? And that's why it started to become that way. So when you're networking, think cable, think satellite, think I can go get whatever I want tuning in, and that's who you want. So that means you need to make your conversation relevant to that person. Now, how do you do that? Well, probably a good start would be asking the right questions. Make them feel important, make them get involved with your conversation. Let me give you some questions that you can ask for people, all right? I'll give you 3, actually. One of them I like to ask is, where else do you normally network? All right, that's one of my favorites. I like to ask people, where else do they normally network? I like to ask people, what got them started in that direction? Where else do you normally network? What got you started in that direction? And what do you like best about what you do? All right? These are some questions that I like to ask of people because I want to be able to enable them to be able to engage with me. What got you started in this direction, right? Where else do you normally network? And what do you like best about what you do? When I first started writing my book on networking like a pro, what I wanted to do was to create what I called a visible identity. All right? I wanted people to be able to come and differentiate themselves in the mind of the other person from the other 5 people that they've already met. You guys with me on that? And what happens is when you go out and network and you engage, and when you're meeting and asking these questions, what you understand is that it's not about me, as Rob was saying. It's about who I'm talking to and what's relevant to who. That's what networking is, in a nutshell, 50,000 foot. That's what it is. And I see a lot of people make that mistake all the time. Let's get to mistake number 2. And then we'll open up for some questions. And I'll be doing a raffle as well. We'll get the raffle thing in a second. Mistake number 2 is trying to be everything to everyone. Okay, mistake number 2, trying to be everything to everyone. So, you know, a lot of times, especially with people who are in business not a long time, you know, they want to have this conversation about casting a wide net. I gotta get this wide net, Brian. I gotta get all the people I can. This is what they're telling me on the phone. And I get that. I understand that. You want to get as many people. I get that. The mortgage doesn't pay for itself. I understand. Okay? But let me just, and we'll call that door number 1. If I can just, for a second, have a conversation about door number 2, which is this idea that the wide net strategy is not going to really get you to where you want to go based on the reasons that we just mentioned. Okay? I got to tell you, I'm back to my satellite and my cable analogy. When the NFL Network first launched their television channel, I'm going to say 5 years ago. That may or may not be right. Okay? But I think it's about 5 years ago. When they first, I was thinking to myself, I said, Goodell, Roger Goodell, he's the commissioner. I said, I don't know what we're going to watch during the off season. I mean, do we watch a game? Do we watch an injury report? I mean, okay, the draft in April, I get that, maybe, but what else are we going to do? All right, and guess what? It turns out there's plenty to watch in the NFL, isn't there? I'm watching that all the time. All right, so MLB launched one, NBA launched one, the NHL launched one. Who watches hockey? Okay. Okay. All right. So the NHL has one. All right. And people are watching it, apparently. So what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to engage people where they're at. You want to be able to meet them where they're at. Now, what this gets into is something I call spheres of influence or target markets. Spheres of influence, or what I call target markets. What is that? A sphere of influence, quite simply, it's people who are most likely to want to work with you. Okay? The reason I make the analogy with, not an analogy, the reason I make the comparison to target markets is that that's what people understand. Then the question is, well, why is it that why do I make those two terms? In my mind, spheres of influence is a conversation about attracting business. Let me kind of tease that out a little bit. I work with busy entrepreneurs to help them market their business in less than 90 days. That's my 60-second little elevator pitch. We'll talk more about that in a second. When somebody who falls into that category hears that, what's the very next question they're going to ask? What? Yeah, how do you do that? Right? How do I do that? And now I'm having a conversation with them about what? My business. Am I doing the wrong thing, like Rob says, and chatting away? No. Why? And that's okay, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Do you see how we've created an attraction? As opposed to if I have a target market and I'm looking to try to meet as many entrepreneurs as I can. It's like, you ever take your kids to that Dave & Buster's and that whack-a-mole? Right? And this is what they look like. Right? And you laugh until you go into a networking event and that's what you see. That's what I see. That's what I see. So what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to have now let me ask you this. People say, well, I can't, I don't want to limit myself because, I need to get as much business as I can. So I can't just say industry. Did anybody say anything about industry? Did I say industry? Right? Okay, what did I say? Busy entrepreneurs. Okay, now what exactly is that? I don't know. If you figure it out, let me know. Okay, but it sounds great, doesn't it? It's something where when you articulate this to people, they should be able to classify themselves in their own mind who it is that you're looking for. Here's the better point. If I don't know what a good referral is for me, how can I expect my referral partners in B&I to know? See, that's the better point. If I don't know who a good referral, if I can't clearly, I was on the phone with somebody, I was doing actually I was recording a CD. I was talking about this. I'm talking to a guy, and I'm trying to help him. We're trying to learn about each other's business. He says, oh, you need to go on my webinar. It's only 40 minutes, but it'll tell you all you need to know. It's only 40 minutes. I need to go on this webinar? No, I don't. If you can't tell me in 2 or 3, right? If you can't tell me in 2 or 3 sentences what it is that you're doing, then something is wrong. Either me talking to you or you running your business. But either way, the conversation probably still shouldn't continue. Okay? So when it comes to your elevator pitch, let me give you mine, and you can kind of figure out how I do this. And then we'll open up for some questions, and then we'll do a little mini raffle here with some stuff from my stuff. I say, when someone asks me what I do, or if I'm doing my 60 seconds with Steve or whatever at a B&I chapter, I'll say, hi, my name is Brian Hilliard, and I help busy entrepreneurs market their business in less than 90 days. A lot of times people are good at what they're good at, but maybe not so great at letting others know about it. What I do is create a tight, easy to implement marketing plan that even the busiest of people can use right away. Okay, now let's break that down. You notice what I did. I told you who I worked with and why. I said then, what did I do? A lot of times. That tells you, that's what I call the who cares statement. Okay, Brian, that's great that you work with these people, but who cares? Right? Why is that relevant to me? Well, because a lot of times I run into people who are good at what they're good at, but not so great at letting others know about it. What I do. Now, let me stop here for a second. I'm reading a book. It's called Selling the Invisible. And one of the things that I talk a lot about on that is this idea of making sure selling the invisible is a conversation around all of a majority of the services that we have here in this room, okay? A majority of the services that we have here in this room are invisible. They're service-based. Right? It used to be you could go and, if I got some shoes. Anybody heard of Zappos? Zappos.com? I get those shoes on Zappos. Man, I might be slightly addicted to Zappos. I don't mind telling you. I went to Zappos. I got a size 13 New Balance white cross trainer. Okay? $65, but I'm a VIP member, so I get next day shipping, by the way. And I look at my shoes, I test them out, I go and I do all the things, and then I go buy some right online, okay? And then when I'm done, when I'm done playing basketball, then what do? And I need some more? What do? I just go right on there, because I'm a VIP member. I go right in, they're saved, and bingo, bango, next day shipping. I do that all the time. Now let me ask you this. How many people would do that with their tax attorney, or CPA? No takers? Anybody want to, I don't know, let's just say you got into a car accident. You want to find maybe an attorney or a business litigation? Anybody want to do it with that? No, okay. So when it comes to services, it seems like we're not as keen on getting onto that, right? But when it comes to products, something that we get and see, we're able to do that. Everybody with me on this? Selling the invisible is a conversation around making tangible what's not in the mind of that other person. Because otherwise, all you're doing is just talking and talking and talking. And that's why it's so important to make sure that when you're doing your elevator pitch, I see people, I'm sure you have too, where they're doing their 60 seconds and you're almost embarrassed for them. Am I right or am I right? And you're looking down, and you're trying not to laugh, but then you're not laughing because it's sad. You don't want to be that person. You want to be able to go in there and have a clear understanding of who you're working with, what it is that you provide for them, the solution. Michael Bosworth, another good book, if you haven't read this book, then we'll open up for some questions. Solution Selling. Okay, Michael Bosworth, that was the very first sales book that I read. And the thing that he talks about, he has a conversation about vision of solution. okay, which is, I found fascinating. Vision of solution, which is, all right, I'm going to, if I have a, marketing firm or whatever, okay, I need to be able to show people what it is that I'm going to get, what they're going to get. Does that make sense to everybody? There needs to be a vision of solution so that they understand what they're going to get from you. If they don't have that, then what happens? People are confused. Do people buy when they're confused?
No.
What do? Do they tell you that I'm confused because I want to look like an idiot?
No.
What do? They just walk away quietly in the night. Do, 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 do. Right? You never see them again. You never see them again. So what you want to be able to do is to articulate what it is that you're doing. Again, Bosworth calls this a vision of solution. And allow people to recognize that this is where you're going, here's what you're trying to accomplish, and oh, by the way, here's the benefit that's for you. Does that make sense for everybody? Okay. I'm going to open up for some questions here in a little bit, right now actually. Then I'm going to get into, we're going to do a little raffle for some of my stuff. Then we're going to get into reason number 1 in a little bit. Okay? And then we'll do a little break and you guys can network. Let me open up for some questions. We talked a little bit about elevator pitch. We talked a little bit about 3 surefire questions to stand out from the crowd. What can I answer more fully?
One challenge I run into is that there's a lot of people that do exactly what you say not to do.
Oh, don't get me there. Yeah.
Feedback.
Don't do that.
Do it. Yeah, well, I've done it before and it hasn't gone over well.
No.
I'm trying to like figure out is there an art form to.
No.
There isn't.
No.
Okay.
The question is, how do you deal with people who, for the 3 mistakes that it sounds like I'm getting ready to go through, have done at least the first 2 incorrectly? Yeah, they're not paying you for that, right? And here's the thing, and I'm not going to be, I don't mean to be harsh or crass or rude or anything like that, but the bottom line is that 73% of all businesses go out of business each year. And now this took me I've been doing this for 12 years. This took me a while to get to this kind of Zen-like state, okay? 73% of all businesses go out of business each year. All right, it's not all because they're all idiots. It's not all because they don't know what they're doing. It's not all because they have a poor product. Some of it is that, what about the idea that successful people do things that make them successful? And what if the opposite's also true? We're just talking, because you brought it up. What if the opposite is also true? Okay? And one of the things that I talk a lot about, people say, well, Brian, you're so confident. I don't understand. You're this or you're that. I tell people, you know what? Listen, finances and stuff like that. If I can just go there for a second, we're in a tough economy. I tell people all the time. They say, "Oh, Brian, well, you don't know anything about that. You've got this book, and you're at this thing, and you're this that, and you've got these cool jackets that I like. You like this one? Yeah, I like this one. I thought it was because of the holidays. I bring this one up. But you're doing all this stuff. You don't know anything about my situation. Let me tell you something. Anybody know? And I've said this before. Anybody know where Slidell, Louisiana is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now. Better question. Anybody know how far Slidell, Louisiana is from Brian Hilliard's house in Woodstock, Georgia? The answer is about 5.5 to 6 hours. Slidell, Louisiana is approximately 2/3 of the way from Houston, Texas. You know how far a drive that is from Brian Hilliard's house? It's 12.5 hours, although it goes back to Central Time, so you feel like you get a little edge, okay? 12.5 hours. I remember calling my wife trying to figure out if we had enough money in our checking account to see if I could get another tank of gas so I could get home. I remember talking to I swear to God, I remember when I'm going down on some of these trips when I was just getting started with a business card. I had a business card of a running tally of my finances, a credit debit system on a business card as I'm going to lunch to try to figure out, to make sure that it was all going to work out. I get it. I get it. Okay? But what I also get is that being successful is a state of mind. You see, it never really occurred to me that we weren't going to be successful, whether it was today, yesterday, or the day before. The idea that we weren't going to win, quite frankly, didn't occur to me. I don't know how else to say that. Now, that doesn't mean that we didn't have to go through some trials. It doesn't mean we're not even going, everybody's affected by the economy now. Okay? But what you're doing is it's a state of mind. And you just have to, and I'm going to make another golf analogy and then throw out another question if you guys have one. It's kind of like, again, another golf analogy. The US Open, for those of you who golf and maybe who don't, the US Open is a major championship, okay, here in the United States. I want to say last year it was in Medina. I'm pretty sure about that, in Chicago. All right. The US Open, when you see these golfers, we're talking about the best 120 players on the planet in any one endeavor. Normally a winning score after 4 days is about 10, 12, 13 under par, compared to my score of 96, and I think I'm in good shape. Am I right with that? Okay. 15, 16, 17 under par is what these people are shooting. You go to the US Open, and let me tell you what, those people don't play. The USGA, which is the United States Golfing Association, they set up these courses. They want to have a conversation about par winning the tournament. And they mean business. Rough up to here. Shinnecock, last time they did it, they actually had rough up to the waist. Other one would be up to here. If you went on the bounce, you're in the desert, depending on where you're playing. They don't play. Okay? And what they say is, if you listen to Tiger Woods and you listen to the people who've actually won, go back if you want and listen to what they say. And you know what they say? They say, I can't get down on myself because I shoot a bogey. Bogey is 1 over par. They say, I can't get down on myself if I have 1 bad shot, or even 2, or if I get a bad break. Because it's a long course, it's a tough course, and I know everybody else is dealing with the same thing. So I got to stay tough up here, and I just got to keep playing. All right? That's the same type of thing with your business now. You just got to, and that just kind of clicked for me one day. I mean, I don't know when it happened exactly, or even why. One day I just said, you know what? Yeah, hold on for 1 second, Andre. One day I just woke up and I said, you know what? I just got to pretend like I'm just in the open. And we're just going to grind out another, 72 hopefully today and see what we get. Question or point?
Question.
Hit me.
Brian.
Yes.
It's been a privilege, first of all, to be here with you today.
Oh, thank you. He's so nice. He loves that. Makes me feel all warm and fuzzy.
You are helping me launch my consulting business.
That's true.
What I want to know is how long did it take you to master the skill to create a vision for another business right away?
That's a good question. Did everybody hear that? How long? So the question Andre has is, how long did it take for me personally to master the skill set to be able to kind of do what I'm doing now and to be able to do some of these things? Okay, implied in that question is the premise that I've actually mastered it. So let's rephrase it and say cross a threshold, in which case you were able to move forward consistently. Okay? And I would say, I started in 01, right after 9/11. I got my business license in October. First 2 years we almost didn't make it. December of 2003 we almost ran out of money, literally. No money. No money. Called my mom, there was no more money. Had that happen 2 more times. Yeah. And I would say, economy didn't help, but probably 07, 08, we were in really good shape. Maybe 5 years, 6 years for me. Now there's smarter people than me, I know that, so maybe, Rita, it's 4, okay? But, for me, it was a 5-year conversation, 5 or 6. One more question? Yes, ma'am.
When you spoke about the elevator speech, you
Yeah.
talked a little bit about who you are, what you do, the why, who cares kind of question.
I did.
Is there a what makes us different in there? And can you talk a little bit more about the who cares?
Okay, what's your name?
Marilyn.
Marilyn, okay. Okay, let's do the second part with the who cares part. You want to kind of be quick with that, okay? So did everybody hear that? The question is about we're talking about the elevator pitch, and we're talking a little bit about the components of that, the who cares and the why, and the vision of solution was kind of implied in that, okay? You want to be quick about the who cares, because implied in this elevator pitch is the idea that you've got a lot going on. I tell people, now remember also the elevator pitch by definition is in a proverbial elevator. So when you're at a networking event, you don't necessarily need to feel like you need to get into all of that at that point in time. Does that make sense? Okay. But yeah, I would say as far as the who cares, I just do a little sentence. What kind of business are you in?
Home care assistant.
Oh, yes, we like that. Okay, so so you would be like, is it like when you have, it's residential, tell me.
We really help seniors kind of stay in.
You see how she's looking at her 60 seconds? Keep going, keep going.
Experience a great quality of life as they age.
Okay, we can work with that. What you want to be doing, first of all, what you're selling, it's important to understand what you're selling. What you're selling is quality of life. But remember, who's buying? Are the people buying who are
Usually the baby boomers.
right,
Kids,
the adult children.
parents.
Okay, so the adult children, what's important to them is what? That they have peace of mind. What's important to them is that they don't have to worry about it. What's important to them at the end of the day is that they don't feel guilty leaving mom at home because they need to go to work. I mean, we're just going to, okay? So what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to talk to that, in my opinion. You want to be having a conversation around how you are different. Now we're getting to the second part of you want to be getting to how you're different. I don't like bashing people, but one of the points that I always like to say whenever I'm making a difference between myself and other coaches is one of the things that I feel really makes me different is blank. I say it just like that. One of the things that I think makes me different is this. Okay, and what that does is it allows people to be able to, as opposed to, I can't believe, did you see what that, one of the things I feel makes me different is blank, and it allows me to be able to do this, this, and this. A great question. This is it's not my first question. My second favorite question is asking people. My first favorite question is asking people what made them decide to sit down with me here today. This is an early sales question. We're kind of morphing it a little bit into a sales conversation. I like to ask people, well, boy, you're sitting down, right? So it's Marilyn, and you said, boy, Brian, what made you, I know you're busy, what made you decide to want to even sit down with me here today? And now they're telling you their pain. Well, it's because of this, this, and this. Okay, then my second question is, have you had any experience working with somebody like myself? Right? And you just be nice and relaxed, and you go right into it. Okay? All right, let me, Marilyn, did I answer your questions first of all? Okay. One more.
Yeah, I'd like to know if you've called every single person in this room.
Me? Personally?
Yes.
Have I talked to him?
Have you called everybody in this room?
So before I was here? Not me personally.
Okay. Did somebody else do it for you?
Correct. Yeah. 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 Part of what I want to say, is it Mike?
Mike.
Yeah, okay, I was hesitant on that one. Okay, what Mike was saying was that in terms of networking and developing the relationship, yeah, Christina and Trish did. I talked to a few people, and what you want to do when you're going out and networking is developing that rapport. That's the whole point. And then bringing them into your LinkedIn and some other things like that. Okay, let me go to, I've got some raffle stuff. I'm going to finish up with a question, and then you guys can go and we can network, and we'll be back a little bit as well. Okay, I'm going to raffle off a little bit of my stuff here first of all. All right, we have got one thing here. All right, so we've got some resources up here real quick. We've written the book, all of that good stuff, Networking Like a Pro. And we also have our little DVD on creating an elevator pitch. So that's up here as well. And just some different CDs and things like that. What we're going to do is we have a gift certificate here for some stuff off of here. And Trish, can I get that bag over there? It's to your right there? Yeah. And we are going to raffle off. You guys hopefully put your names in there. Now you'll notice that people will come out of the woodwork. Watch this. Did everybody put their cards in here?
This one or?
No, just your business cards. Just your business cards. Everybody do that? Yeah, I think you guys did at the registration. Oh, look at that. It worked. Okay. There we go. All right. So we're going to raffle off a gift certificate here for some of these Rita. You want to? Oh, okay. Yeah. Now we're going to give these guys a pass because they were sponsors. You want to pull one out?
Yeah.
Don't pull out your own because they will turn on you. I've seen it happen before. Awesome. Thank you so much. Penn Shore. Where are you? Where is he? Not here is where he is. Wow, that's. Yes, you will. Thank you.
All right, this person's got to be here. Feels lucky.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Alan Jones. Yes. Awesome. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you, sir. Here you go. There you go. Awesome, awesome. Now, we have some other little goodies that we're going to give away as well up here. We have a program. It's called Prospecting Through Word of Mouth Marketing. And a lot of times people, they say, you know what, we really enjoyed the book and loved what you had to say there, but can you put something together that will help me kind of walk through some of the stuff on a more one-on-one basis? So what we did was we put together a program. It's called Prospecting on Word of Mouth Marketing. They are 5 sessions. Okay, 60 minutes each. They are small group and they are over the phone. People say, Brian, are you coming back to Raleigh? Yes, but not for this session, okay? There are 5 sessions over the phone, 60 minutes each. And what we do is we talk about things like creating a client-generating elevator pitch. We talk about putting together a word-of-mouth marketing plan. I think personally that there are 10 distinct tools for marketing your business through word of mouth. We've talked a little bit about some of them, LinkedIn and online social media we haven't even gotten into, okay? So what we do is we go through those deals with people, and at the end of the day, you get a word of mouth marketing plan for your business. Does that make sense for everybody? We are raffling off a ticket. Now, FYI, this is going to be starting in January, just as an FYI, because in 10 days I'm going to be in Florida, okay, just so we're clear with that. All right, so we're going to raffle this off, and Rita, you want to do one more? Awesome, thank you.
Ooh.
Well, he's already a client. We'll get you something else, Andre. He's like, oh gosh. I'll get you something else, don't worry. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Juan Castro, come on down. Awesome. You are good to go there. Thank you so much for coming out. All right, we'll get back to you on that. So that is what, let's give him another round of applause if you don't mind. Awesome, 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 awesome. Oh, and before I can everybody take out a business card? If you just take a business card out real quick. I know normally we don't normally do this. If you take out a business card real quick, if there is anybody, a lot of times when we go around, and I'll stick around afterwards if you want to learn more about that, a lot of times when I go around and talk about the different programs, people say, you know what, Brian, that sounds like something that I'd like a little bit more information about and to learn about. If that's the case, let me just have you pass your card towards the aisles if you don't mind. And some of our volunteers here, Trish, why don't you take them up? Just pass them. If you pass them this way. If you want more information, you guys can pass them that way, and you guys can pass them over there, and we'll get you either myself or someone from my office will give you a call, and we can talk a little bit more about that. Okay. If you want some more information about that, we will take care of it. Oh, you got a couple behind you there, Trish. Good, good, good. And just give those right to Trish. Yeah. No, don't go that way, because it's going in front of the camera. There you go. All right, all right, all right. Now, the grand finale here. We got a few minutes. Let me go to mistake number 1. Okay? Mistake number 1. Bing. Lack of follow-up. Oh, I love that. Everybody, it's like a gut shot. Oh. Ah. All right, now I saved it to the end. I saved it to the end. Now, this is a rhetorical question, so if you do this, the trick is not to make eye contact with me. How many times have people gone to an event? They network. They meet a bunch of good folks. They get business cards. And they don't do anything with them. And those business cards, they go in a nice, neat little stack, and they go right over here. I'm going to do something with them, just not today. And I'm working, and I'm doing my email, and I'm doing my thing, and a few more days, and I forget about these business cards, and I get them into anybody then, what do? You pull up the rubber band. Because we're getting serious, right, about those cards. And we all kind of know how the story ends with that, okay? A lot of times when people, they network, they think they don't know what to do when after following up. They don't know how to go about it. They're not organized in the process behind it. There's a few things, all right, behind that. So let's get this covered right now. First of all, when you're going and following up with people, I like being able to send an email, okay? I like being able to send an email, and let me read one for you real quick. This is obviously from our How to Get More Referrals from Everyone You Meet, little special report that we have. So let me just read this real quick. So the subject is nice to meet you, you know, whatever B&I event. Jim, my name is Jane Smith, and I'm the ex who met you the other day at the chamber event. Hey, listen, I just wanted to say I really enjoyed our conversation and was hoping I could learn a little bit more about what you do. I'm thinking we could get together for a quick cup of coffee. That way, if I run into someone who can use your services, I could point them in your direction. Ooh, that sounds interesting, doesn't it? Ooh, I'm intrigued. Let's keep reading. I'm pretty booked this week, okay? Now, the ladies in the room know how this works, right? We're always booked this week. You call me on Thursday for Friday, I'm booked. Okay, you call me on Tuesday for Saturday, I'm open to the conversation. I'm pretty booked this week, but how does next Tuesday morning sound for something over at Starbucks? Again, great talking to you, and if I can help out your business in any way, please let me know. Now, what is that doing? First of all, that's saying, listen, I enjoyed our conversation, I want to be able to move forward. I want to be able to, before I move forward, understand what it is that you do. In order for me to understand what you do, I need to sit down with you and have some coffee. Not lunch. Why not lunch? Because no one gets a free lunch. We get lunch, you all of a sudden get backing. You don't want to hear backing. It's like my dog. You ever see a dog back up? He just goes like this. It looks funny. That's what people will look like. Animals can't back up, by the way. Anyway, a little trivia. So what happens is you're going out there for coffee. Okay? We want coffee with these people. I want to get to know you. I want to understand your business. I want to refer you business. But we need to sit down for maybe 45 minutes or so, maybe an hour. I'd recommend blocking an hour off on your calendar so that we can figure out what it is that we need to do. How many times do you get an email like this? The answer is almost zero. How many people would probably be open to, now, this assumes that you create a visible identity up front, right? So we can't be some little, you know, creepy person. I don't know what that move was, but that's all right. Okay, you can't be that. But assuming you created and established a visible identity, and that you had something of value, and it wasn't about just you, as Rob said before, it's about them. Are you open to this conversation? So now what are you doing? You're following up with people. You're knocking that out. I'm recommending you send an email out like this within 24 hours. You're setting up coffee connections with people. Talks a little bit about that. It just essentially means that you're sitting down, engaging people, having a little back and forth, right? Having a good conversation. Learning, are you trying to sell them? No. We're trying to understand where they're coming from, aren't we? We're trying to recognize where they're coming from and what they do, so that we can then take that to the next level, okay? Another tool that people talk about in terms of that hurts them in terms of lack of follow-up is what to actually do with the business cards. Where do we put these things exactly? Now, with all due, where'd Steve go again? I know you guys have the little, you know, the B&I deal. I'm going to go a little bit different, okay? I like scanning these, and I like putting them into a contact management system. Outlook is not a contact management system. It's not. And it's fine. Nothing personal. It's just not. I want to be able to put something that toggles so that if I need to meet that person for whatever reason later on, bing, I get a little reminder. I have a very small brain. I can't remember things, it seems like. You know, does anybody in this room know how to use the Dewey Decimal System anymore? Okay, a few. I can't. I actually don't know how to. I was in there the other day. I don't know how. That's a good question. Yeah. I didn't know how to do it. They're like, well, just go back and do that. I'm like, okay. So you want to be able to have something that you can reference easily. I use the Referral Rainmaker. It's a contact management system, the Referral Rainmaker. It's a contact management system that you can use. It gets all of the names in there. I'm going to double down on you guys. You see these little CDs here? This little toolkit. What do you think about that picture, by the way? Huh? I'm all like, you know, doing something. I don't know. All right? These CDs, what did you say? Oh, John Travolta. That's what she said. You just never know what you're going to get when you let people talk and stuff. You never really know. But I'm glad you're comfortable enough to say that. Thank you. All right. That's good. Okay, this little CD, you guys can take it. All right? Here's what you get. All of the people that are in this room right now, including the sponsors, everyone's name is going to be on this. What happens is it's going to interface with the referral rainmaker, Larry Block. You can turn around. He's the one. There you go. That's Larry. So he's from Atlanta. Okay, came up with me. We do a lot of this together. He set it up where through the referral rainmaker, it's that contact management system. All right, you put this in. We're gonna give us about 36 hours. So don't go running home like today. I'm gonna be eating lunch in 2 hours. Okay, but after that, we'll send an email out to you. All of the names will be on here. They're going to be sortable. So you know how we were asking about your business and your industry and all that stuff? So say you want to meet more realtors, or you want to meet more this, or you can sort them through that. It'll access it, you'll go right in. Make sure though, when they ask for your login, that you use the email address that you registered with me. That's important. Okay, so the emails that I send you, just make sure, if you have to go back and look at the invite, and that's the email address. Is everybody with me on this? Mm-hmm. Okay, and it will be on there. All right, so I'm giving you a little edge right off the bat in terms of the follow-up to be able to help you do that. You want to make sure that you do that. And then the other thing too is, and this is also another one of our deals, is you want to don't be afraid to pick up the phone. Give some people a call. Link in with them. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. Make sure that you're staying connected with people, because that's what they want to be able to do. That's what they want to be able to hear. Now, I've got some resources here real quick. Let me just go over, and then you can take a look at it. If you want to pick something up, you obviously can. All right, we've got our book, The Networking Like a Pro. This is all about turning the contacts you get into the connections you need. One of my favorite rules on this is the 12 by 12 by 12 rule. It talks about how to manage the perception that others have of you. It's actually, the 12 by 12 by 12 technique is from my mom. She's a motivational speaker. She was the one that first kind of gave that to me. The great thing about having your mom as a speaker is you don't have to pay her royalties. You just take stuff, you put it in books, you write all about it. It doesn't even matter. All right, so that's the book. We've also got our audio on 7 simple ways to get more referrals, as well as our digital report on how to get more referrals from everyone you meet. Okay, this is $30 right there for you. Now, for those of you who are thinking, you know what, I want to kind of kick it up a notch in 2013, for an additional $20, we have what we call our high octane sales pitch. Our high octane sales, which is everything that you see right here, plus our report, 10 quick ways to turbocharge your sales. We also have our DVD on creating a client-generating elevator pitch. Now, this is a DVD. All right, meaning if I don't want to call tomorrow saying that you picked it up and put it in your car and it didn't work. Everyone laughs until they're the ones who were calling. All right, and it also comes with one of our CDs on how to talk so others will listen. That is our high octane sales piece, and like I said, that's $49. Okay, and then last but not least, we have what we call the whole shebang, which, as the name implies, is everything on there, except a couple of things that we do. Number one, it is you get a 30-minute consult with yours truly, okay, where we're able to talk and kind of put some of these things into practice. A 30-minute consult into that, as well as our CD on how to get more business with LinkedIn. By the way, I don't know if anybody has been looking at it, but Facebook, if you guys have Facebook has really changed the way they're doing stuff in terms of getting out the word. You just hit, send, and you think it's going out to everybody. If you have a business page, it's not. Okay? It is really not. There's a whole thing on that. Rita knows how I feel about Mark Zuckerberg, so we won't get into that. I wrote a blog on it. The bottom line is I am really recommending people take a look at LinkedIn. We talk about the advanced search criteria. This is all the free version. We talk about the advanced search. We talk about groups. Okay, if you haven't looked into groups, you can do that. It's all got some good stuff. So for $10 more, you get the whole shebang. So in a quick recap, we've got the high octane sales, which is all of this stuff here. That's $49. For $59 or $10 more, you get the whole shebang, which includes the certificate with yours truly. Or if you're on a budget, and that's totally fine, we have got our referral generator for $30, and we do take credit cards if you want. All right? So that is kind of what we've got. I will be back over there. I even have a free gift, actually, by the way, for the first 10 folks that want to pick something up. We've got a little freebie just to keep it interesting for you as well. Alrighty. In terms of the program, I will be back there. If you want to have any questions or anything like that, feel free to chat. We're going to be going out and networking. If you need to fill out the rest of your little forms with your blue things, feel free to do that. Then we'll drop them off in the back there as well. Okay. And then I'm going to be back a little bit later on, talk about how to overachieve without overcommitting. One of my personal favorites. Nate Brown is also going to be talking about some networking tips as well. And we will be out of here in about an hour. So we're right on schedule. All right. If you have anything, let me know. Thank you so much for coming out. Oh, yeah, it's no problem.